हम अकेले ही चले थे जानिबे मंजिल, मगर लोग आते गए, कारवां बनता गया।
हम होंगे
जैसे हम दिल्ली की तरफ पहुंच रहे हैं, लग ऐसा रहा है कि वो एस्कॉर्ट नहीं बल्कि हमें वो एक तरह का डिटेन कर रहे हैं या अरेस्ट कर रहे हैं।
As we reached Delhi border, we had no idea that we'll be met with such huge force. Some thousand policemen were there waiting for us. People in Ladakh are highly patriotic. If I have doubts about people in Delhi, not about Ladakh. If you are taking their democratic rights and giving nothing in return, you will lose the favorable, friendly, patriotic people of Ladakh. This could be an anti-national act to destroy India by spreading distrust.
I'm sitting outside Ladakh Bhavan under a banyan tree, and with me our guest is Sonam Wangchuk. Sonam Wangchuk is a climate activist. Sonam Wangchuk and 50 others Padyatris started a Padyatra from Leh on September 1st. They reached Delhi on September 30th after walking on foot for around 800 kilometers. As soon as he reached Delhi border, Delhi police detained him and his fellow Padyatris. We'll speak with Sonam Wangchuk on what happened, why he was detained. Mr. Wangchuk, thank you so much for joining us. Could you tell us what exactly happened, why you were detained, and were you expecting that you will be detained when you reached Delhi border?
No. We had no such idea. We had walked for 30 days very peacefully, actually silently, a mon march through cities like Chandigarh. Saw how silently in lines we marched. We didn't disturb anybody. Then we reached the Dera Bassi area, which is borders of Punjab and Haryana. There we took buses because we didn't want to disturb the Chunav elections of Haryana. We didn't want to have any impact on that. We were so cooperative as to not even touch Haryana. And while in the bus, halfway, some of us got a notification, promulgation of section 163 BNS. And as we reached Delhi border, we had no idea that we'll be met with such huge force. Some thousand policemen were there waiting for us, who told us to go back to Ladakh. Now we hadn't come for that, so we said we'll, rather take detention, and that's what they did.
So there were two objectives apart from your demands of greater autonomy and statehood for Ladakh. Two objectives you wanted to achieve by coming to Delhi is meet Prime Minister and go to Rajghat, pay your tributes to Mahatma Gandhi. So you were in detention for a couple of days. Ultimately, you were allowed to go to Rajghat. But the second objective still remains unfulfilled.
No, it's not like that.
Right.
We came to, yes, present our memorandum and meet the Prime Minister or the leaders, but we were detained. Then we went on Anchan, on fast, hunger strike. And we said two conditions to break it. One, take us to Rajghat. Second, arrange a meeting with the Prime Minister or the Home Minister or the President of India. So they took us to Rajghat. And for the second, they gave us assurance that within the next 2 days, they'll give us an appointment. Now, that assurance we are still trusting and waiting for a date that we'll get. But so far, we haven't got.
You have submitted a memorandum to the central government where you're asking that the talks should be resumed, which have been stalled for so many months. But what is the progress? Have you received any call, any message from the central government
We
on
got
the
an
negotiation?
assurance. We then got an assurance that the talks will start within next 15 days, but that's not formal. And our meeting with the top leaders has not yet been fixed. And in that, our appeal will be to start the talks and resume the process.
One of the key demands is inclusion of Ladakh into the sixth schedule under the constitution. Do you think the sixth schedule inclusion would solve all the problems that Ladakh is dealing with right now?
All the problems I don't know, but it is a way to give responsibility of stewardship of remote, fragile ecologies where indigenous tribal communities live by giving them an autonomous council with elected representatives who will have lawmaking power. Now that will be much better than somebody who has no idea about Ladakh making decisions. Local people, especially indigenous people, live in harmony with nature for thousands of years. They will take responsible stewardship since they have to live there. You know, they have stake. So the belief is that local people's participation is very important. Right now, Ladakh is under permanent governor's rule. Permanent governor's rule. You can imagine your state going under governor's rule. That is temporary normally, and it's a big news.
You're also saying there is no democracy in Ladakh. I think last time when I interviewed you, you showed me a placard that this is what BJP had promised before the elections in 2019, promising sixth schedule. But Amit Shah famously or infamously once said that all promises are jumlas. People should not believe in them.
That is very sad because based on that, elections are won. And then it also teaches a culture to the people. When leaders make promises and wash their hands, then this culture will go into our children, you know, who will become very light charactered people. Similarly, in businesses, people will not honor agreements. Yeah? So internationally, India will be treated as a country of untrustworthy people. Everywhere else, world over, integrity is the first thing they look at. And if we don't have integrity of keeping to our words, we will be doing huge damage to India. This could be an anti-national act to destroy India by spreading distrust.
But do you think the sixth schedule would become a reality considering how strategically important Ladakh is for India? Looking at the China. Looking at
I'm
China
saying exactly for that reason, Ladakh should get sixth schedule. People who are at the border should have some say in how it is managed. Otherwise, you are taking their democratic rights and giving nothing in return. You will lose the favorable, friendly, patriotic people of Ladakh. Wars that have taken place in Ladakh, whether in the 48 war, 62 war, 65 war, 71 war, 99 war, all of them were won with the support of the people of Ladakh. Now that is what India can show to the world. This is one region where people are as good as our soldiers. That edge will be lost.
The other viewpoint is if army wants to build some infrastructure, then they have to take permission from the local governance. If Ladakh
Of
is
course,
included,
for military, for security, anything is, of course, for them. National security is the top thing. People in Ladakh are highly patriotic. If I have doubts about people in Delhi, not about Ladakh. So, for national security, this will not come in the way at all. It's mainly to stop, corporates who may not care about nature, environment, such things. Not for military, of course not.
you are talking about corporate.
People who give their lives, who go to the war battlefield, bring injured soldiers on their shoulders, you think they'll not care about national security? You have taken any soldiers from battlefield? Have you? Have you taken food for soldiers fighting, cooked in your own home? So you have no right to talk about the patriotism of people in Ladakh.
I'm not questioning people's
meaning
patriotism.
Not
Anyway.
you. Those who are, who you represent when you say, people say that national
I'm
security.
just talking about the other side of the coin. This is also
Yeah, I'm
viewpoint.
talking about the other side also. By you, I don't mean Mr. X and Y.
No, you've been advocating protection of fragile ecology of the Himalayas. Why is it so important not only for Ladakh but people at large, people in the mainland?
First of all, Ladakh is part of the Himalayas, which is called the third pole of the planet, which hosts most fresh water after North Pole and South Pole, which gives water to 1/4 of the world's population. All of North India depends on our glaciers. So today it's our turn, tomorrow it will be yours. It's like shooting your own feet. If you don't take care of the Himalayas, tomorrow you'll go thirsty. Your children will. So corporates may not care what happens to your children. You have to care. Therefore, we want all the people in Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Bihar, UP, up to West Bengal who depend on Himalayas to take timely steps for your own children.
Since you're talking about corporate, I have one question regarding one mega solar power project which the government has proposed in Ladakh. So for that, government is going to acquire huge tract of land.
Yes.
What impact will it have on the pasture land, on the communities in Ladakh?
If it is done without consultation with the people, that is our problem, not the solar project. Solar projects are very good, but it should be carried out with the people on board. If it is done in ignorant ways and in damaging ways, then entire population of Changpa nomadic herders will be wiped out. They will be thrown away. You will have power for Delhi and Punjab, but Ladakh will lose its 1,000-year-old culture and way of life.
Mr. Wangchuk, if you could share your experience while you were coming from Leh to Delhi, some experience that you had with communities you met along the way.
Yeah, so all along the way, we saw two things: warmth of the people and destruction of nature. From the plateaus of Changtang in Ladakh, where gigawatt solar plants are taking away pastures, to valleys and rivers in Himachal, Lahore Spiti, which will be drowned for hydropower projects, to foothills where cement factories are cutting, destroying all the hills for limestone, cement and so on, to sand mining, illegal sand mining in the plains of Himachal, where entire river valleys are being destroyed. There is destruction all over. And I want to urge and appeal to the people that it's not just government that can protect. You too, because the power from the pastures of Ladakh or the rivers of Himachal are for you all in the big cities. And if you waste electricity in cities like here, you sleep in razais and duvets in 45 degrees with ACs blazing at 16 degrees, colder than in Ladakh. That's not your need. That's your greed. That's your spoiled behavior. Now that's a crime. That's steeped in blood of the birds and insects of the Himalayas, the forests, the people, the charvahas, charagas, and all of the Himalayas. So people in the big cities have to live simpler life. If you reduce your demand of power, of material consumption, then there will be less mining in the Himalayas, less damming of the rivers, less solar powers on the plateaus, better life for the flora and fauna of these mountains. If you reduce, you don't need what you are doing, it's greed. So I urge you to reduce it by half, or actually 10% of what you use or misuse is enough. Then 90% of Himalayas will be saved if you use only 10% of what you are doing today. That will save the planet from climate change also. So please cooperate and save the planet and live simply in the big cities so that we in the mountains may simply live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wangchuk, for such a wonderful chat. This is Shiv Narayan with my colleague Ashish.
Journalism at News Laundry is powered by the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. Visit newslaundry.com/subscription and pick a payment plan of your choice. Pay to keep news free and independent. Your future, and indeed the future of democracy, depends on it.